Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Mad Men Podcast, your podcast dedicated to the AMC television show Mad Men, where you can find your best source for news, talk, and more. And my name is Jeremiah, and look who's sitting right next to me. It's Elise. We are here. We're live in LA. Can you believe it?
I know. It's exciting to be together.
It's so exciting. We're running a little behind, so we do apologize for that. But we finally got a chance to watch it. Elise and I were watching it through the internet, through my DVR at home. That's way back in Missouri. So it was a little bit, it broke up a little bit, little buffering issues. But overall, we were able to finally get to finish watching it, which we were a little behind from everybody else. But we're here. So we finally got started. And thank you for everyone for your patience. For those of you who were waiting around, maybe you were there at 8:15 our time here. And then we're like,
sorry,
where are they? So, but yes, we are here. So thank you everybody for that. And this is essentially going to be our initial reactions because we've only seen this one time. So Mad Men is such a hard show when you release to.
I usually watch it at least 3 times before I try to talk about it. So I'm feeling very unsure about what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I am too. But I mean, this is going to this. So this is our raw emotional feel just after watching it. And so it is what it is, but we're hoping we're going to meet up sometime next week and we will dig into it even deeper where we'll have an opportunity to watch it a few more times, really sink it in, get all the details and information down. So this is just going to be fun for the two of us here to talk about it. So, wow. I don't know about you, Elise, but I'm very emotional.
I know.
Are you emotional?
I'm a little emotional. Made me cry.
I really am, and since we were so in depth in the episode, I didn't have a chance to really check Twitter yet. I have no idea what the fans are saying. I'm sure there's all kinds of mixed reactions. We've said this before in the podcast. Anytime you do a finale, people are going to be disappointed. They're going to be upset about the ending, and then there'll be people that's going to be very satisfied. So, what do you think? Are you satisfied after watching it this first time through?
I feel pretty satisfied. I mean. I feel like every character got touched on, every main character. We really got to see what was happening with them. Mm-hmm. And even though I would have liked to have seen a little bit more concrete what happens to Don, I feel like they gave us enough that we felt like, okay, he's on the road to a better place. Now, of course, we're talking Dick Whitman, Don Draper. So, after he gets back from the ashram or whatever, he could be drinking and picking up women and paying them and everything a week from now. But we at least get that leaving on the right foot. What did you think?
Well, yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm going to have time to really soak this in and see. I think I will. I think right now I'm feeling like is something a little bit missing. Like I think I did want a little bit more from this story for Don's story for this to end. But when you look at the final scene with Don and the gentleman at the retreat, and you hear this man saying all the things that Don has always thought, right?
Yeah.
And we get the commercial with the Coke commercial, of course, which is like we've talked about right after the episode, was we kind of implied that maybe that means that Don's going to go back to work and that he's going to be the one to come up with that very famous Coca-Cola commercial.
Yeah. I mean, that commercial was huge. I remember that commercial.
Oh my gosh,
I was a kid.
Yeah.
We used to sing that song. I think I had a Barbie that sang that song, or like a larger than Barbie sized doll that sang the Coke song.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was like the biggest commercial ever. So, I mean, they're kind of maybe saying Don has this new
outlook on life,
right? Mm-hmm. But he's still doing advertising and is apparently just made the commercial that everybody still knows the words to, whatever it is, 40 years later.
Yeah.
10 years ago. I keep saying I'd say everything's 10 years ago.
And he'll have that memorable thing. He joked around, you really can't do anything memorable or something memorable in advertising,
right.
But maybe this commercial is going to be one of those things for him.
It's meaningful.
Yeah, it's definitely meaningful. So yes, I don't know. I do feel like overall, I thought the episode was really good, and I really did seem to enjoy it. But I did have an initial raw reaction to thinking, is that it? Is that all? Which, of course, that song that we had from earlier in the season, is that all there is? And I could totally see that that's what Matthew's mind was going, is that he would give us this ending and he'd say, that's all I have, that's all it's going to be.
That is all there is, though, is just to get to a place where you can be happy with who you are.
Right. I
7
totally
years,
agree with that.
we just made it to that point.
7 years for Don to finally feel happy. And where does he find it? In a retreat in the northern part of California,
I'm
right?
pretty sure that I don't think they said it, but it looked a lot like Esalen, which is a very famous massage self-realization retreat in Big Sur, which is sort of central California coast. And
Central
it's
California.
been there for
and we would know
time.
everyone, this is someone from California. She would know.
That's right. And I am a massage therapist. So
perfect.
I've never actually been there, but I've driven by it. I think it's kind of expensive. It's very
so you have not spent
high-end
time at this retreat yourself?
I have not, but
it's
because I'm so happy with myself already.
You're already
I
happy with yourself.
The sessions.
Well, let's talk about this with Don, because I have been saying for a long time that part of the big problem that Don Draper has in his life is he's never had love.
Yeah.
You know, he's never had love shown to him, so he doesn't know really how to react to it. Because, you know, I mean, when you grow up, I would think if you grow up in your whole life without feeling love, you know, he obviously didn't have it from his real mother, because his real mother died giving birth to him. His father, I don't know who that man loved. You know, he obviously never showed Don love. Don was always mistreated his entire life. His stepmother, and then I don't know about Uncle Mac. I don't know if he sort of liked Uncle Mac. I know that some of the ladies, you know, liked Don. You know, we used to give him Hershey bars at some point
among other things.
Among other things. So, but he never really truly was able to understand what love is, and I think he's just that he's never been able to understand about that, and then the whole part about trying to understand how to receive things from others. And hopefully it sounds like maybe that just he finally had that aha moment here at this retreat, hearing this man say a lot of the things he was thinking, and it really clicked for him maybe, and he was able to finally get to a new place, a new, like you said, be able to maybe love himself a little bit and forgive himself for all the things that he's been tearing himself up about.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think he is able to have that much change. I mean, I think that's what the show has been. You know, a lot of these people are just who they are, but that he can know that who he is isn't like completely alien to the planet, that there are other people who feel that way, that are struggling with the same thing. He can at least be aware of it in himself now. And maybe when people are trying to love him and he's not recognizing what to do with that, or even that that's what that is, he might at least like pick up some cues of like, oh, when people marry me, I should return their love and not cheat on them and get drunk all the time. Possibly.
Right. Yeah, possibly. It's hard to say.
It's still Don Draper. So,
you know, I think for myself, I'm okay with this. I like this revelation that Don had in his life, where maybe he gets it all together. He goes back to his life. It doesn't sound like he's going to have maybe much involved still to do with his kids. That's going to be left up to our imagination as far as what happens there. You know, if he's able to honor Betty's wishes and all those things, we can just assume that that's what happens there. But at least we know that we're left with the idea that he did, like you said, go back to advertising, and he's got a new outlook on life, and it will probably reflect his work from the future. Now, whether or not it means he's working with McCann or not, I mean, we had that little conversation with Peggy when she had that wonderful phone call to Don, where, you know, that was scary moment.
Was scary. You were like, oh my God, he's gonna throw himself off the cliff.
There's no doubt
gonna do it.
Every Mad Men fan was thinking the same thing we were thinking when that scene came up, was because we looked at each other and go, oh, he is gonna die.
Oh my God, I would have died if he had died.
Yeah, I think that for those of the people that probably are maybe a little bit upset about the ending and feel like they were missing something, at least we weren't left with him, you know, throwing himself off one of those cliffs of insanity there and dying to his death. I mean, that would have been terrible.
That would have been terrible. I mean, and just no arc for him. It was just like his life was challenging all the way through, and he never resolved any of it. He just killed himself. So that would not have been a good.
That would have been a terrible ending.
That would have been pretty bad. I think a lot of people felt like they wanted that.
You think so?
I think a lot of people were invested in those opening credits for all these years, and they wanted to see somebody.
Oh, so you're talking. Okay, so we're talking about the fans who really, you know, bought into the theory that the closing scenes was going to be Don Draper, you know, jumping off to jump into his death. And I guess I could see that. I mean, I certainly could have seen Don, I think, was at a low enough point where I think it was definitely crossing his mind. You know, that phone call to
when
Peggy.
he was sitting there just paralyzed after the phone call,
Mhm.
and the woman comes and kind of forces him to get up and come to the encounter group thing with her.
Right.
I think if she hadn't shown up and done that, they might have gotten the jump they wanted. But
yeah, that's true. I do.
Might have been crossing his mind.
I do think that yes, that woman, I think, essentially kind of saved his life. I think I really do feel like that.
Yeah.
Do you think the phone call to Peggy? Because I think this is a really important one. He was looking. Do you think he was really just calling her to say goodbye, or was he also looking for something from her? You know, like, you know, hey, we miss you. We want you to come back. Did he need to hear those kinds of things? Because I mean, that's what she was essentially saying. She wanted him to come back. She didn't want him to stay out there. She wanted him to be there with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, Peggy's kind of his go-to. I've, backed myself into a corner. I don't know what to do. I need help. I'm calling Peggy. I mean, from the first car accident with Bobby, where just conveniently that's who he could call and she would straighten it out for him. And then all the way through their relationship has developed to the point where she really is his rock.
Yeah,
I mean, he can't
true.
call Betty, obviously. Mm-hmm. They've already had their conversation, and not Megan. And I mean, I suppose he could have called Roger, but I think he needed a maternal thing there.
Yeah.
He needed somebody who really knows him, who he could be that open with. Him and Roger, they love each other. They're very close, but they don't have that same relationship of like, this is who I really, helped me when I'm at my worst.
No, I totally agree with that.
So I think he called her because he was really, really low and he needed to talk to her, and she's very
important in his life. I mean, Peggy is very important. And I've said this, ever since the suitcase episode, when they had that wonderful moment together as he was losing Anna Draper. And I kind of felt like that they were putting the role into now being Peggy, being that one of those people that he can go to. Yeah. That's very important in his life. Someone that, like you said, feels like she really understands him, and that if he calls her, that she's going to get it and maybe help clear his head a little bit. But I mean, it clearly didn't help. Now, I tell you what,
it scared the bejesus out of Peggy, though. She was.
Oh my gosh!
Definitely felt like, something really.
She
bad
was
is
terrified
right now.
Yeah, you could tell she was thinking, Don, you don't need to be alone right now. I mean, she was really concerned about it. And I would have been too. If I would have been talking to that man, I would have been thinking, this is not good.
Yeah,
he's in a bad place right now. But like I said, thank goodness that woman came up to him and was able to convince him to go into the meeting, and Don was able to hear that very important speech from some stranger, to help open his eyes to something that he's always kind of wondered. And also too, going back to, remember in the last episode, I also felt like he had a big moment there with those gentlemen from the servicemen to be able to kind of open up to his past about what happened in the war. I thought that was also important for him too.
Yeah.
So I think maybe this trip to California, which is funny because since I made the trip to California, my car. Now, I wasn't driving a Cadillac, for anybody who's wondering. I was driving a little Ford Fiesta, not quite the same as a Cadillac. But it's close.
A Chevy?
Yeah, and we didn't leave our Ford to some strange kid to take a bus. We actually took the car all the way here. But I do think...
we assume it's still outside, although I do live in kind of a dicey neighborhood.
Well, we're hoping it will, because otherwise it'll be very difficult for us to get back to southern part of the state here. But no, but so you look at this trip that he took, I think maybe, I think he did. Obviously, I think learned most everything from what happened in the retreat, but I do think that this was something that he really always wanted, to just kind of take a moment and just leave and go see the world and do all these adventures, and racing cars or whatever he was doing in this episode. I think it was something he kind of really needed. At least at the moment, I think he felt like this is what he kind of needed. But I think obviously, until he got to the retreat and was able to hear what he needed to hear, I think that was that final closure maybe to help him out with that. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, it was shocking at the beginning of the episode to have him be racing cars in the desert with his helmet. I think I said oh, Mad Max. I was like, whoa, where are we? But I think he got to feed that desire of going out and living it. So
kind of living that hobo life for a moment.
I thought we might
place to another.
Find him at the end when the girl at the front desk at SLN says, like, you can't get a car here. You could, you can wait, and in a couple days, maybe somebody will be leaving, or you can hitchhike. And I was like, oh my God, they are not going to leave us with him, with his little Sears bag hitchhiking on the side of the road. I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you, Matt Weiner.
Oh yeah, you're right. I think
that was so close, but
he would have been upset.
Thanks to Charles Manson, people will not pick up hitchhikers anymore in Big Sur. So
Charles Manson really ruined it for people up there in the hills in California. So
we shouldn't laugh. That's bad.
Yeah.
He's a bad man.
Yes, he was a very, very bad man. Yes, that is very
still
true.
Bad.
Still bad. Yes, still bad. I keep forgetting he's still rotting away in prison.
Alive,
I visualize him being dead already. So, but yeah, see, I think he finally got that. So I think there will be a lot of mixed feelings about how this ended for Don. But I think if you really look deep, watch the episode a few times, I think we're going to be able to walk away from knowing that, Don, I don't know if he fully ever did find happiness, but if he's able to, like you said, be able to forgive himself, that he'll be okay.
I think he'll be happy enough.
Happy enough.
Be happy enough. Don't be wasted all the time.
Yes.
Stop. I don't know, trying to not have any feelings. Start being in your life.
Yes. And it's important.
A Coke.
Have a Coke. It makes everybody feel better. Yeah, everybody should have a Coke. I mean, I'm surprised we're not drinking Coke right now, to be honest with you.
Oh, we should.
You probably have Coke in the house here, don't you?
Oh, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, I tell you what, though. If Don would have died, I would have blamed Stephanie.
Oh,
she just left him there.
Know. Well, Stephanie's got a lot on her plate, too.
Yeah, she does.
Do I get extra points for saying that he would go to
Yes,
California
that's
with
right.
Stephanie?
Elise did say, we would eventually end up with Stephanie, or at least he would visit her.
Yeah.
So you called that one. You called that one, that's for sure. So
I love it when I get something right. It happens so infrequently.
It hardly ever happens to me, so I'm with you. When it does happen, I'm like, yes. And especially with Mad Men, it's almost impossible to guess for sure what's going to happen to Mad Men. And one of the other things that you had also mentioned and you hope for, and I think we all hope for this, is that Stan and Peggy would finally get together. And it happens.
Yes.
Now, this was the moment in the episode, Elise, where I really was fighting back some tears. What about you? Yes.
Oh, I was not.
That scene where they go in for the kiss, especially when he runs to the door. I'm right now getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And then they embrace.
So romantic.
I was just, I know, because it was such a sweet moment. The phone call, and then him leading up to running down the hallway it was
I thought it was
so
brutal
beautiful.
that when she was like, I don't even think of you. And it was just like, he just like poured out his heart down.
Yes.
Like,
he's pouring out his heart, and she's like, well, I don't even think about you. And she has to, but that's how Peggy is. She's not like Stan. Stan is more of a hopeless romantic, I think, than Peggy really is, but that's just the way she is. She had to stop and once she's heard it. Well, I think once she heard it from him, she had to kind of work it through her mind. And when she realized, you know what? I do love you. And I think that's how it is for a lot of people.
It's hard to kind of believe that she hadn't kind of been putting it together. But then if you think all the way back to their initial, how they met and the whole thing with the nudist thing and how, he was really fairly repellent at the beginning and she was just so annoyed with him.
Yeah.
And how she's just kind of over time, they do fight and they do, push each other. And they really had a good friendship. And so maybe it's conceivable that none of that had crossed her mind.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things where you've seen it. I think a lot of people have this where you have someone that that this happens where you're really close with someone and you're really good friends. You could tell over the seasons how much they've grown to the point where they would like to just hear each other's voices on the other end of the line and sit there endlessly hours on the phone together just so they know that the other one is there.
Yeah.
And you could see that this friendship was turning into more and more, but sometimes it just takes one of them to say, you know what? I love you. And it took Stan to say, listen, Peggy, you're the only person I ever want to be with. Even though you drive me crazy, I can't help but want to be with you all the time. How sweet that was.
That was very sweet.
And, by him finally saying it to her, I think she was able to finally realize in herself the truth. And the truth was this was much more than just friendship, that they loved each other.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
Yay.
So it was, I think no doubt every Mad Men fan is going to be excited about this, right?
The Stan and Peggy?
Stan and Peggy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yes.
think I was seeing that more and more over the last couple of weeks. Everybody was really getting geared up for it. I think people would have been picketing Matt Weiner's house if he had not given us this
so true
payoff of 5 years of these two dancing around each other, and we just were waiting and waiting.
Right. I think you're right. If we would have at least gotten some closure on this, I think you're right. I think every Mad Men fan would have been mailing AMC and Matthew Weiner complaining and saying, "I can't believe you."
Yeah. Fan fiction.
Did they come together? Oh my gosh, yes.
Write it for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Are we satisfied with the fact that the two of them apparently are going to stay there at McCann and work?
I think it felt like that's what was going to happen. I mean,
yes.
She was happy to stay there and do that. She doesn't want to go back out and have another risky business. But I mean, I was loving that storyline for Joan, that finally she can be her own boss, and hopefully she won't be molested,
yes,
abused. I don't know if that's true or not, but at least she's her own boss, so she doesn't have to answer to anybody. And she's got the Rolodex for all those people that she would need after all the years of working at the various versions of Sterling Cooper. So I mean, really, it's just her doing what she's always done: calling people, setting things up, making appointments, getting the money, getting the backing, and putting together production. So, but she did choose it over the relationship with Richard Berghoff.
Yeah, something like that, right? Who cares? Because he's not important.
We know who we're talking about. He's not anyway.
No, but I mean, yes, you're right, and I think me and you kind of saw that coming, because they both had two different directions in life. I mean, I know that he was able to accept the fact that she was younger and still looking for other things in life, but I think really deep down, he's looking just to have fun in life. He's already done all those things.
He doesn't want to be tied down to anything,
right? And Joan didn't want to be that. She is a very independent woman, and she loves what she does. She finally had that dream job, like she told him.
Yeah.
I finally have a job that I love, and she's doing it. And so now that she doesn't have the tie down with the advertising thing, she finds this opportunity to get into video production, making productions
which is going to be huge.
Very big. Absolutely. To get it on the ground floor in the 1970s like this.
Yeah.
And we all know that when Joan puts her mind to something, she's going to make it happen. And I expect her to have a big life where she's going to go on to be a huge production company. And I could just imagine huge success for her. And this is definitely a happy ending. We didn't need to see Joan necessarily be with another man. That wasn't right.
I don't think anybody's worried about Joan's ability to meet another man.
That's true.
I think
That's
Joan
very
will be
true.
Okay in the man department anytime she is interested in meeting one.
This is true. She's a very beautiful woman, and she should have no trouble finding another man. And I just think right now in her life, this is what she really wants. As much as Richard seemed like that he was going to be, he could have been great for her.
Yeah, if she wanted to do that.
If she was in it, we and you talked about this, because I'm the kind of person, even though I'm not even 40 yet, I still, if for some reason, let's say my wife all of a sudden became rich beyond her means, and if she said, "Honey, I just want to relax. I just want to, just have fun in life," I'd be like, "Sign me up. I'm in. I'm quitting my job tomorrow." And I like what I do for a living. I enjoy working in the printing business, but I promise you right now, that's the path I would have taken. But for Joan, that's not what she wanted.
See, I don't think I could do that. I could do that for like a year or something, but then
I think you get bored.
It's like at some point you've traveled, you've seen everything. That's a good point. You need some other value in your life. To me, helping. It doesn't have to be work, but something, helping. Doing something.
Sitting on a beach with a drink with the umbrella in it it only lasts so long, right?
Yeah, I mean it lasts a good long time,
right?
And I'd be willing to do it for several months every year, but
well, that's true.
Yeah, but I think I would still, I don't know, volunteer work or something,
Yeah, there's always something you can do.
We'd have to podcast.
Yeah, well, of course. I would not stop podcasting.
From the beach with the drink.
Actually, I have always said that if I had more money than I would know what to do with, I would find something that I really enjoy, whether it was podcasting or making movies, of course, was a dream I had when I was a kid. So I probably would make small, independent Well, actually, I think I would probably make documentaries. That's if I had all the money I would do. That's what I would do. I would love to make documentaries. So I think you're right. I think everybody would probably have something, and I think Joan, that something is she's going to go after this, and I think she's going to be just fabulous at it. I'm so happy for her.
Yay.
And she doesn't need Richard, who is, looking for, like I said, a different path. They're on two different paths, and they were finally. Although that was a little harsh the way I thought it was a little harsh the way he did it.
Well, I think he feels like he gave already a little bit up to be with her because of Kevin. And he was like, I did that and I was willing. I knew that, that was going to limit our ability to travel and do the things I want to do. And now it's like, okay, and now you're adding another rock to what it is I want to do. Forget it, lady. Point. I'm out. And, it was a bit abrupt, but it was probably also just for... to get it into the show and be like, okay, he's gone.
You're right.
They're not going to work out.
It was definitely frustration on his half because, he comes into this and he finds out she really is trying to start another company. And I think he was hoping that she was going to be past it. And he made a good point. He didn't want to spend his life with her hoping that she failed. That would be terrible.
It's true.
I wouldn't want to do that to someone I loved.
Even though he didn't do what she wanted, he was very honest. Every time something came up, he was like, oh, you have a kid? You said you didn't have kids. Now you have kids. That's not what I'm looking for in my life, So, you can't hate the guy. I mean, it's disappointing for her, and it would have been nice if it had worked out, but they're in different places. It's like what she said to Roger later, you finally got the time to work, you met the right person. So I loved her reaction to Roger and Marie. That was too funny, where she was just like, are you kidding me? You and Megan's mother? What?
Yeah, that was like, crazy.
First he marries somebody way younger than Joan. Now he marries somebody way older than Joan.
Yeah, I guess it's a perfect ending for Roger. What do you think? Right.
It seems like it's going to be very volatile. I'm not certain this is going to be Roger's last wife.
This is a good point. Will he
volatile. Their highs are very high and their lows are very low. They go from really happy with each other to go sleep on the couch.
Well, she's definitely different than any of the wives we've seen him have so far, right? I mean, this is a whole different can of worms he's opening up with this. Yeah, she's a whole different animal. And I don't know, maybe this is what Roger needs. Maybe he needs somebody like this, right?
She'll definitely keep him on his toes. I mean, he's not going to get bored with that show.
Yeah, and I like how she was quickly questioning him about where he's going and what are you doing, She's going to try to keep him as faithful as possible.
Well, and he was jealous about her seeing her ex-husband. And
that's true.
Did you sleep with him? And she's like, what are you talking about? You're the one that's going to leave me for a secretary alone on the street with my little suitcase. And she's got his number. She's going to keep him guessing. She's like, it's none of your business what I did with my husband. Blah, blah, blah,
She could be the death of him, though.
Well, there is that.
I like that. What are you trying to do? Kill me here?
Maybe.
Oh, but I think it's safe to say that Roger got, for the most part, a pretty happy ending. He also did not die, which is another character that everybody was wanting to know if they were going to die or not. Richard didn't take all of Joan's money and run away. I know we had some more listeners was worried that this Richard guy was not what he says he was, and I think that's obvious. So, and they did not end up together. There will be fans, don't you think, that will be upset that Roger and Joan did not end up together. But that we've known this for a long time.
Kind of. I mean, we saw Roger had just come back from taking Kevin out for pancakes. Apparently, he's like having daddy time, unofficial daddy time with their child. He's changing his will so that his grandson and Kevin share whatever amount of money is allotted for that.
Right.
So I mean, he's taking ownership over that child. So that the two of them, and Joan basically says that Greg is, pretending like he doesn't exist. So I think Roger
apparently had twins. Is that what
he's had twins with some nurse.
Yeah.
With some
nurse. God, man, I hate that guy.
I know. I feel bad for that nurse.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, she is in for it.
Were those consensual twins?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good question, Elise. Oh man, I can't stand that guy.
And that was the thing I tweeted today. I was watching the marathon, which who did not absolutely love 24 hours every day for the last 3 days on AMC of Mad Men?
It's been awesome.
That was epic. I want that channel to stay on forever. But I was watching it today. I was getting ready for you guys to come over, and I saw the episode when when Richard and Joan first meet at the office, when she mistakes him for somebody, and he asks her if she wants to go out to dinner, and she's like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, French? And then I remembered from a couple of days ago when I saw the episode of Greg coming to the office, and Roger asks where they're going, and Joan says they're going for French, and he says, you don't like French. And she like makes a face at him like, hey, I'm pretending like I like French for this guy. And as soon as he said French, because that was fresh in my memory, I was like, oh, they are doomed. And I tweeted it this afternoon. So I was not surprised, because I was like, oh, French. That's bad for Joan.
That's true. That was bad. And there was little signs. We should have, I mean, we should have known that wasn't going to work out for Joan. And as far as the Roger and Joan thing, we've known for a long time, I feel like, that the two of them were not going to be together, you know, as a couple, but we knew at least the fact that they had Kevin together, and that's a special bond between the two of them. So they're always going to be in each other's lives, you know, and I think that's wonderful. And
I don't think he's going to take like a huge part in it. You and I were talking earlier, and you'd said, you know, he's off in Paris with Marie for who knows how long.
Right.
But, you know, I think he will maintain a presence. You know, he'll be a very present uncle or something who takes him out once a month or once every couple months or something.
The rich uncle who comes over. We should all
have one.
Yeah, we all need. I could use a rich uncle, that's for sure.
We'll have to talk to our mothers.
Yeah, somebody needs to give me a rich uncle. I think you're right. And then, of course, when Roger goes, he's able to feel comfortable in knowing the fact that he's taking care of Kevin.
Everybody.
And Ellie.
His rich bastard, as he calls him.
Yes, that's right, you rich bastard.
And he was like, oh, actually he is.
Rich bastards today.
No, Roger said that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I said it right.
He was trying to say goodbye to Kevin. He was ignoring him. He's like, oh, that rich bastard.
Well, you know, Roger,
like 6 times.
Roger, I hate to tell you this, but kids do that. They ignore your parents. They ignore your parents quite a bit. So they'll get used to that. You think he would? He's raised kids before, but I have a feeling he was not around, as we know pretty well.
Exactly, he was full-time dad.
His daughter liked to remind us that many times during the series that he is not a good father and was not around. So he probably doesn't know these things, but maybe he will. Kevin will give him a second chance to help, you know, do a better job this time around. You know, I think so.
Expectations are low.
Yeah, and you know, Roger and Joan, they care about each other. They have a great bond. So I think that they'll do just fine with this very unusual situation of the two raising a child. So who knows? And maybe at some point Kevin will find out that he's his dad.
Well, and it's 1970. Kevin's like 2 years old or something now.
He's pretty young.
I mean, he's basically me. Like, I think he was born in 1969, which is when I was born. So I mean, being raised by a single mother. I mean, I was raised in LA and they're in New York, but I think it was basically the same thing. It was like, you know, everybody's parents were divorced. Nobody had two parents back then. It was not uncommon. Nobody's gonna, you know, be like, how come you just live with your mother and your grandmother, you know? Yeah. So he's part of the norm at that point.
Right. Well, I know everybody loves Joan, and I know everybody loves Roger, and I really do feel like the fans for the most part are going to be pretty satisfied with that closing as well.
Yeah.
So
I think we're a little sad that the Richard thing didn't pan out. It would have been nice if she could have had that, but again, it's Joan. You know, it's like if Roger lost a quarter, you know, like, he's got a lot of money. It's okay. Yeah,
good point. No, there was maybe a little bit of disappointment, but I do think that this is
overall,
perfect.
It's a great story for her.
This is a great story for her, absolutely. And getting back to the Peggy and Stan thing, I think there's definitely a great story there for her. You know, I think that little nod about her being a creative director by 1980, this is great. I think
1980.
Well, you know, you think about it, it might take 10 years of her being in the camp before she will eventually get that spot. It takes you got to really, it's a long process sometimes, but hopefully it won't take that long.
Yeah. And that scene between her and Pete was great, where Pete was like, you know, someday people are going to be saying, I worked with her when, and, you know, it's a very great scene of the two of them, just mutual respect.
Yes.
They've come so far from, you know, that one night stand that started them off.
Right.
And it was really amazing. I'm trying to remember, Pete said that, and then she said a thing like that, which is something that Pete said a long time ago. I'm going to have to look it up to be sure.
Yeah, we were talking about that while we're watching, and I know he said it before, but just the fact that she goes back and says that to him was so beautiful. That whole scene was just wonderful. I really enjoyed that. And speaking of Pete, we did get to see him. I sort of kind of said that a little bit, like maybe we'd see him flying off to go to Wichita. I was right.
You were right.
That's the one thing. I don't even know if I thought I said that. Maybe I'd even say that. I'm sure some of our listeners will tell me if I did not. But no, I did at least think we would see a little bit of Pete and Trudy leaving, that there would be people saying their goodbyes in the office, and we got to see that. And I think that's perfect for those fans who were speculating that, things. I think even Greg Frable, who's been a long time listener, probably. Hello, Greg. I know he sent me some tweets. He was like, he was looking back into something was said during season 6 that made him think that about the Wichita job, about it being available and would be available for 2 years later. And he really was afraid that this was a sign, him seeing this as he's watching this 24-hour-a-day Mad Men that everybody's watching, that he saw that and he started thinking, oh no, that meant that something
had it wrong.
Right, that something really bad was going to happen for that, and it didn't. Pete is going to be fine, and it's. I
love that closing scene though of the 3 of them getting on the jet. We were talking before, and it reminded me of the Thomas Crown Affair with her fur hat,
with
like fade done away, and
walking on the
just
plane.
So beautiful and fabulous and perfectly coiffed. It was Pete getting everything all at once, which is all he's ever wanted. Was just complete and utter happiness.
That's
and I
all
think
he
got
wanted.
it.
I loved it. I thought that was a great inning, and
it was good.
I know there's a lot of Pete haters, and I totally understand why. But you're gonna have to get over it. Pete had a happy ending.
Well, I think Pete gave his hairline in exchange to pay for all of his crimes as a young man, and now
his debts are paid with the hair.
Yes,
he's fine. But me and my wife had a long conversation about the Pete thing. Just kind of looking back at it, and I told her, I just, like we said in the podcast last week, I just really feel like that he is at a place where he has realized he doesn't want to be like his father, that he is tired of trying to look for something better all the time.
Yeah.
When he had it right there in front of him with a beautiful child and a wonderful wife that, had loved him at one point, at least, and he had everything. And I think he finally realized that he needs to just wake up and change the way he's living. And I really think he's ready for that. Yay. I hope so.
In Wichita.
I really do. In Wichita, of all places. Never been to Wichita. I have been to Topeka and, of course, Kansas City. But
there you go.
I've heard that Wichita is about the same as those other ones. There's not, a whole lot there. But there is Learjet.
There. My grandmother's from Kansas. Does that count for anything?
Yeah, I love Kansas. Actually, I do love Kansas, especially Kansas City. It's actually a really nice city. So, he'll be great there. And like you said last week, he's going to be king. He's going to be king there, with all that money.
Think he is one fancy pants kind of guy.
Yeah,
from New York. They're going to call him New York, I bet. They're going to be, hey, New York.
Yeah. Hey, New Yorker. And they'll try to do their best New York impressions.
The bagels in Kansas, I'm going to guess they're worse than the bagels in LA.
That's very smart. Great thinking,
he is not going to find a Cantor's in Kansas. Man. I highly doubt. But,
I don't think so. He is not going to
They'll learn how to make their own or something.
He'll be complaining about the bagels for the rest of his life.
Yes.
But you know what? He's working for a jet. He's worked for a jet company. I'm sure he'll be flying all around. When he hits New York, he's going to be buying some extra bagels to take home with him. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So, we don't have it in our notes, but what did you think about the person-to-person phone calls?
Yeah, we said last week, if I remember right, we said we're pretty sure that the title, person to person, now there's a title I can't mess up, right?
At least you were close. I didn't even know what the title was last week.
Yes, and thank you for all the listeners who pointed out the fact that I was saying the wrong title all last week. But yeah, person to person, that we actually had 2 person-to-person phone calls in the episode. So it was obviously... I think everyone guessed, in fact, including a lot of our listeners, that it was probably going to be Don making a person-to-person phone call. I think Betty was the most popular answer I saw, that people thought it was going to be calling Betty, and it was.
Interesting, though, to see that, like, now thinking about the contrast between the 2 person-to-person calls, which was, Don calling Betty, and it was just like the phone call was so painful that neither of them could really express themselves, except in, very curt things. It was like, no, just do what I'm telling you, but I want to do this. No, okay, all right, we're both gonna lose it, let's get off the phone and hang up. Whereas his call with Peggy was much more expressive and like, these are all the things. I'm not sure if Don had ever told her that he is living under a pseudonym. Had he?
You know, this has come up a lot.
Name.
A lot of people has come up with this, and I don't know if we've ever actually heard them say. I think it was kind of. I felt it was always kind of implied that maybe the two of them have had a lot deeper conversations about his past.
Maybe,
but we don't know for sure. But you're right. He opens up to it, and you could tell that even if she didn't know that information, you could tell from the phone call that she didn't care about all that. She was trying to let him know that, you know, basically that we do care about you. You need to come home. You know, I mean, she was trying to reach out to him. She could tell he was in a very low place. And, you know, I think is also fitting, like you said, with this person's phone call, is that two very important women in Don's life. Yeah. That was these two person-to-person phone calls. And I think that was very essential to the writing here for this episode, which, by the way, was directed and written. The whole thing is Matthew. That was all him. And I think we all knew that Matthew was going to be completely involved in the finale. So,
yeah.
So I'm trying to picture at least that conversation that Matthew had. I think most fans know this, that Matthew had told John Hamm quite a few years ago what the finale or what was the future for Don. So now I think that I want to know exactly what he told John Hamm.
Maybe just that he would be sitting at an ashram meditating or something. I think I'd actually said that like jokingly that he would join Est or something. This is a little bit more evolved than that. It's less
a little
less
deeper.
Culty. This is more, you know, getting into some real Buddhist.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the deep in alignment. I mean, if you think about it, Don Draper, he actually probably is someone that could use a retreat like that, you know?
Yes,
where he can really get down and deep inside him and like really find his inner self. So I think it probably is probably a good thing that he did go to see Stephanie and that they wind up going to that retreat. And she clearly she could see that he needed it, right? I mean, that's why, because she was about to walk out the door and leave him, I thought, for a second. And then she sees him laying there. And I think that's when she decided, you know, I'm going to wake him up and tell him you need to go.
I think she was like in bad shape too, because obviously she'd given up her child and was conflicted about it. I mean, maybe she doesn't necessarily want to be a mother, but she's still conflicted about it. And they had that whole scene with them in the room where it was like, you know, that kid is always going to be waiting for you. And she's going to have to walk around with that, just like Peggy, just like a lot of these other, you know, characters that we've seen in a similar dilemma, including Don's own mother.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that like it still comes back around to that. And it's like, how is she going to move forward? And so we don't know where Stephanie went. Maybe Stephanie went to go see her child and try to be more of a part of its life. We don't know.
Yeah, because that was it was painful for her, I think, to hear what that woman was saying to her. But you know, I think she was able to recognize that there was some truth to that. You know, that I think that if you talk to anyone who was either adopted or something, they do tend to always wonder, you know, about their parent that they never got to meet. So it was, I think, something that she felt like, I think she kind of felt like she kind of needed it.
Well, and she knew for herself, because like when Don went to her and tried to give her the old, you know, you'll be surprised how much you don't remember.
He tries to throw this move forward thing on her, and she's like, not buying that at all.
I don't think that's gonna work. But I mean, but for her, like, I mean, you can, you know, maybe that did work for Peggy in what she did for whatever her reasons were. But for Stephanie, she knew that she would always be conflicted on this.
Yeah, and I like that, because you're right. It was a great sign to show you that, you know, Don, this speech, like you said, it might work with some people, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
And Stephanie was able to recognize that. She was able to say, listen, you know what? That sounds great and all, but that's not the case here.
Yeah.
And that was, I think you're right. I think if we were to speculate, I think maybe she's going to probably make some attempt to get that kid back.
Ultimately, I mean, she is right. It's not like it's not weighing on Peggy still. I mean, we had that conversation between Peggy and Stan 2 episodes ago, you know, that, you know, she has to move on. She can't move on if she knows where he is and is thinking about him all the time. But he's obvious, that child is still on her mind. She will always think of that child and wonder what might have been the life unlived. The life unlived.
That's right. I think so. And, you know, she's not a character I think that most fans are, at least especially the average fans, probably invested in.
Right.
But I would like to think that she does something like that and makes an effort to at least be somewhat involved with her kid's life as much as possible, and make it right. That'd be good for her. I really do think that. So, but
I think so too.
And one of the questions you had for me off air, and I felt terrible about this, because I think it's because emotionally, Elise, it's just ended. and it's hard for me to really just put my mind around everything because, I mean, especially for myself, I've been so invested in this show. I love it, a lot. I still do, even after watching the finale. I'm still loving the show. So that's good, right? I think that's always a good sign that the finale didn't ruin it for me. And maybe it's because this was kind of the episode I kind of felt like we were going to get. I know I just felt like this was it, that this felt like the kind of ending that I could see Matthew doing for this show. I couldn't imagine some big dramatic ending with him dying or, committing suicide. Well, I certainly didn't believe in all that stuff, but I think that this is the kind of show this is. This is the kind of ending it should have.
I think so. I mean, I feel like, I'm sincerely grateful to Matt Weiner. I mean, I've loved the show. I've had such a great time watching it. And I think he wrapped it up for us. I mean, he kind of had led us down this path. There were a few, blind alleys or whatever for these last few episodes. But I mean, for the most part, he said, okay, here's where we're going. And it has been pretty much where everyone was heading the whole time. I mean, there was no bizarre, left turns that we couldn't, at least to some extent, anticipate.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Except for killing Betty. Why'd you have to kill Betty?
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, I think.
But we'll allow it.
Yeah, I think that, I felt like there would be at least one main character by the end of the series. One more main character would pass away.
Well, and it actually did. Now that final scene with Betty and Sally, where Sally is washing the dishes and taking care of her mother, and all those years that Betty was like, my children don't care about me, and I mean, even as much as she's trying to be stoic and nobody stop what they're doing to notice I'm dying over here. Sally is coming back, and she's gonna take care of her mother as much as her mother will let her. Even if it's against her will, she's gonna come wash dishes. She's gonna make dinner for the boys. She's gonna show her mother that she loves her, and she will walk her out.
I agree, and I did. I love that scene. You're right. She's sitting at the table, if I remember right, and you're right. Sally's doing the dishes. I really loved how that kind of ended for us, and also I liked the way that Sally really took control of the conversation she was having with Don too. I mean, she was really coming into her own there as a young adult, and was able to really. She's able to really understand the situation that's going on. And it was obviously very hurtful, I'm sure, for Don to hear all these things.
Yeah.
But it was true, I mean, Betty said it to him. So, when was the last time you've been here, Don, with the kids? Yeah. We've said this before, as much as we love Don Draper, but he's not the greatest father in the world.
He's not.
And
Don't send him out for a cake.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, trying to really, I don't know if it would be fair to the character. Last week, I really started thinking, okay, yeah, Don's good. That's what's going to happen. Don's going to go home. He's going to help take care of his kids. But if you think about it, would that really fit Don Draper's character? I mean,
well, he'd just mess it up. I censored myself there. He would. Yes. He legitimately wants to do that. He wants to be with his kids.
I think so.
Is he capable of being a good present father? He is who he is. I don't care how many times he goes to Esalen. He's not gonna really do a great job.
Yeah.
But I think that Sally was right that they should stay with Henry. I think Henry would want to keep them. They probably have a nanny already at Henry's who's taking care of them, or a maid, or somebody who's there, a presence in their life. I'm sure Henry would want to keep them because of his attachment to Betty. And, it would be a lot for Henry for Betty to die and the kids to disappear. And it would be a lot for the kids for their mother to die, and then for them to move to Philadelphia to, this house that.
Right. I mean, you think about Henry. I mean, we've talked about this last week. It's going to be a rough road for him at first because he lost his wife and the love of his life. So it's going to be hard for him at first. But I think eventually, he's going to find somebody else, and then eventually they'll have another mother in a life. Maybe for a while they go and live with Betty's brother.
I don't know.
I mean, I understand.
Sally's definitely going to fight it.
Well, I'm putting myself in Betty's shoes. I kind of understand why Betty would want to choose for her to go to her brother. Although I always kind of felt like they didn't really the last time we've seen them together. I don't think they really like each other that much.
Yeah.
They didn't get along too well. But besides
his wife
that,
was very sweet. I mean, she
was
like really nice
Good point.
about the Gardenier vase thing. That she was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know," and she brings it right away. She was very she was a very sweet woman. I could see where you'd be like, all right, that, of all the choices I have, this woman is, and I believe they are in the family home in Philadelphia. They inherited the house when the father died.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm remembering that correctly.
if remember, actually, that's one of the episodes I saw during the marathon is the one where we get to see Don. I love that scene where he tells the brother, say, listen, you get your stuff, you get out of here. We're taking Gene. And remember that scene, where he just man arms and tells him, we're taking the dad. You're out of here. Don't get out of my house. It was great. It was something like that. But it was a great scene. Yeah, when he basically, tells her brother how it's going to be.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. But yeah, so I think that I can understand why Betty, though, would maybe choose that for her because of the, like you said, the motherly role there, because he does have a wife and is someone who's already, doing it, and why not? I mean, that would be a good fit. So I think whether they end up with the brother or somehow Henry does take over the kids, I think one of those two options would be fine. But I do agree, Sally,
them here and there as he has.
Yeah, and I do agree with you that Sally made it maybe a good point about Henry, because if they were there in the same, the idea about being in the same home, in the same beds, and going to the same schools, that I think that would help a little bit, because
some normalcy.
If you lose your mother at such a young age, that is already going to be so tragic. But then to be ripped from everything that you're always used to, that could be even much harder.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully they'll work that out, but we'll never know.
No, we won't know for sure. But I think what we can at least feel is that something will be. Sally will put her opinion in and make sure that the boys are taken care of.
I think we should start a writing campaign to Matt Weiner for the
Sally spinoff.
No, not for a spinoff, but only when they release the DVDs to have the where they talk over it and
the commentary.
The commentary. Thank you. Could not come up with that word. He made me drink wine.
Sorry, everybody. We were drinking wine.
Anyway,
Ken's favorite wine too, by the way.
No,
whatever that wine was. No, we're not drinking.
Anyway, that in the commentary he should give us a little bit more in the commentary of okay, and if the show went on one more, this is how much farther down the road thing. This is how this all would have worked out even more.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody write
Matt
Weiner a letter that says
everyone get out a piece of paper and write it out. Oh, wait a minute. No, email. We do email nowadays.
That's right.
Yeah.
No paper.
No, we don't do that. We don't do handwritten.
Actually, I think an actual hard letter, with the stamp and everything.
It would have more meaning today. I've said that before to people. You really want to make somebody go, wow, write them a real letter, and they'll be like, holy cow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it definitely means something a lot more than email. That's for sure.
It's got a context.
Yeah, thinking about that, I do really hope that we get something very special in that final DVD set. I really do.
I do.
I'm sure we will, right?
Yeah,
I hope so.
I'm hoping it's out by Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever anybody celebrates.
I would definitely think would be ready for Christmas. Yeah, because that has been the pattern they've had recently since we've had this where the season airs in the spring like this, or spring / early part of the summer, and it's usually out by Christmas.
Yeah,
at least that's what I've seen. So I was a little disappointed because this year Target used to always have them for really cheap during their big Black Friday sales.
Right.
And I went to Black Friday and it was not a great sale. It was normal price, like $30-something or whatever it was, and. Not that it's a big a deal, but I was kind of hoping I'd get cheated and get another great deal.
Well, I will pay any price if Matt Weiner gives us more
info
on these characters.
Do you think they'll do one big box set of all the seasons? I'm assuming probably so, right?
That'd be good.
Oh yeah,
do that.
We'll probably buy
Lionsgate. We would buy that.
Me and you are the kind of fans that we'll have the regular collection, right? And then we'll have the box set. Then we'll have the one with the puffy shirt. Oh wait, not a puffy shirt, but Don Draper's shirt. We'll probably have all that stuff.
We'll take it all. We'll take as many variations as they want to buy.
I'm notorious for that. You know how many copies of Star Wars I have?
No.
I have multiple copies. I have the original video cassettes that were done 30 years ago, what it was, and then I've got all the DVD sets. So I'm that guy.
Don't buy him any Star Wars, apparently.
Yeah, I am that guy who buys way too much. I did with all that stuff. So. That's just how I am.
There it is. All right. Should we wrap up with things that we thought were unanswered?
Well, that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to think about what is the fans going to be thinking about that was unanswered. I'm sure once we have time to really stop and really think about it and actually hear from some of our listeners, I'm sure we'll get a lot of people that are going to come up with some great things that we are going to be scratching your head going, oh, that's right. We never got that answered.
Yeah.
But the question will be is it going to be an important enough thing? I mean, is it really that important that we need to know? I mean, to me, I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with something. What's something that was right off the top of your head that you were thinking of?
Of course, the one thing that I wanted to know was what is the respiratory illness that Joan has that they have alluded to since the very beginning and never told us. And I think, there was no time to cover it. It's not really pertinent. It's apparently they're not going to kill her off with it. So.
Well, I wonder if it's one of those things where, because we know how Matthew writes. Matthew writes, he's a different kind of writer. He's the kind of writer who he kind of writes with whatever is going at the moment, and I think that maybe at some point he felt like that was a direction they were going to go, where there maybe something was going to happen to Joan, but maybe he felt like that wasn't working, and that maybe it's more like that she is okay. Maybe can we just assume that she's okay?
Yeah, it's just a layer, I think, in her character. When I have asked her directly, Christina Hendricks, she has said that she does not know what it is, but that coughs and things are in the script for her. So, so I mean, there was something there. For whatever reason, they never decided to use it, and I'm still curious.
Yeah, I'm curious, but because it could have led to something terrible for her.
Right.
And I love Joan. I wanted to see her have some kind of a happy ending, and since we kind of got a happy ending, I'm okay with just believing that she's going to be fine.
Yeah. Right after she left that room with all that work going on, she went into a terrible coughing fit in the next room and died.
Yeah.
No.
That would be terrible. That'd be
nice.
terrible. I'm sure there's going to be lots of fans, by the way. I meant to mention this earlier. We were talking about Joan's production company. There's going to be some fans that I think are going to be upset that Peggy didn't join her, don't you think?
Yeah, I was kind of excited about that idea.
I was
they threw that out there. I was like, oh my God, they actually are going to start a company together. I think that was way too Laverne and Shirley, but but I loved it. It doesn't mean I don't want Laverne and Shirley, but Peggy said no, and I think just Peggy wanted the stability of staying in what she's doing, and it's nice to pick up an extra $12,000, but.
Sure.
I think she was happy where she was, and then I thought that then with her and Stan, the two of them could have gone. Stan could have gotten back into cinematography and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was buying into it. I was just like you, already picturing what their future was going to be with this company. But it didn't happen, and
Octopus
she was
Enterprises.
Octopus Enterprises, yes, pleasuring one sailor's wife at a time,
or however many you have.
Whatever. Yeah, I do think. Yeah,
that's a totally different business.
I like how Joan, by the way, was able to utilize the two last names to come up with a name to make it sound like there was more than one person in the partnership. Yes. That was pretty smart. She's a smart lady.
She is.
I'm telling you, her and Peggy, this is what's going to make Mad Men fans, I think, the most happy, is the fact of knowing that the two of them they're going to be awesome. They're going to continue to be awesome in what they're doing, and they're both going to have much success. I really think that is where we went there. That's how I feel like we really ended here, and I think the fans are going to be really excited about that.
Yeah, and just as a little Easter egg, the walking down the hall smoking in your sunglasses dress was hanging on the back of Peggy's office door. We saw in a dry cleaning bag. And also the octopus painting was hanging with the Halloween decoration cats on it.
Yep.
So she's giving it all her own little touch. But I thought that was cute that they put the dress in there.
Yeah.
She's still wearing that dress. She's still telling them who's boss.
Well, that's what's great about Mad Men. You do have to pay attention to all those little things, the things that's in the room and what's going on, so you can really get an idea of what's going on in their life, because we only get little nuggets of what's going on in their life. So you have to really pay attention to all the little things to be able to really know what's going on. And I'm sure when me and you come back next week to talk more about this, we'll be able to get those little nuggets that, of course, that right now some of our listeners are probably screaming at, going, you need to talk about this. You forgot about this.
I'm like, oh.
So what's great about this is that for those of you who are listening to us, we are going to come back next week. So this is going to give everybody a week to hit us with up all the questions you have. We really didn't have enough time tonight, so we really have to wrap things up here. But make sure you hit us up on our, whether it's our Facebook page or our actual website itself, or you want to tweet one of us, that would be fine. That would be great. And just give us the questions, and we'll go through this, and we'll dig really deep into not only the finale, but the series itself. And I think that would be a good time for you to also kind of dwell on the things we felt like maybe that we didn't get answered. You know, I think myself, I need enough time at least to really think about what I feel like maybe we missed out, because right now I'm just very emotional about it. So, but so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're coming back next week, so definitely make sure you check this out. This episode is going to be episode 91, so be sure to go to madmanpodcast.com and leave some of those comments, because I really am going to be interested here what the listeners had to say about the finale. I think we're going to get a lot of mixed reviews, because I think a lot of people are going to be not completely satisfied with Don's ending, but we'll see. We'll find out what they think, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, Elise, I think this would be a good place for us to close it down for now and pick up next week. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Something you thought of, we really probably should talk about?
Nope.
All right. Very good. Simple enough.
More episodes.
Yeah, more episodes would be great.
More episodes, please.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and close this initial reaction down. Thank you, everyone who did join us tonight. I know we had quite a few viewers earlier. Most of them have already left, but thank you for everyone who did join us. Do make sure you keep up with us on the website. We'll definitely put up once we realize what day for sure we're going to meet up. But we're going to be back for at least one more time to talk about this, and I will definitely be doing some more things in the off season to kind of still talk about Mad Men. As long as I feel like I'm going to still talk about Mad Men, I will.
We're still going to do an hour and a half on Mad Men every week, whether it's on or not.
A lot of people ask, "Oh, Jeremiah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" I'm going to keep the Mad Men thing around for a while and do some fun stuff as we, at least for a little while. But I will be going back in, and I'm doing a lot more work on post-show recaps. This summer, we're going to be covering the True Detective Season 2.
Yay!
And I'm going to be part of that, so I'm really excited to be covering that. So people can definitely go over to postshowrecaps.com and check that out, because that's where I'm going to be doing a lot of work. Elise, of course, you're still going to be blogging.
I'll still be blogging. I'll be doing the Television Critics Association stuff in August.
Fantastic.
And TCM Film Festival in the spring, and all
Wonderful.
of my, favorite things.
Favorite things, right. Well, then you need to make sure that you go over to the LARambler.com, right?
Absolutely.
Check out her blog. Make sure you keep up with her and see what she's doing, and follow you on Twitter. What is your Twitter account?
Elise CD. It's right.
Yep, we have it on the screen for those of you watching the video. Yes, at Elise CD. And you can definitely follow if you're interested in follow the podcast, you can do that at MadmenCast. And then if you want to follow me, I'm at Panhorst, which is JPANHORST.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it, I guess. All right, Elise?
Yeah. Well, and thanks to Jeremiah for putting together the podcast and inviting me these last, 2 years to do it with you. It's been wonderful.
Oh, well,
it's been a great way to just sit around and talk about Mad Men.
It has been a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll do a lot more of those goodbyes next week when we meet one more time. But it has been a lot of fun. And it's been, 5 years been doing this. It's crazy that it's gone by this fast, but good things have to come to an end eventually. So, and I'll still be podcasting. So there'll be plenty of time for you fans out there that love to give me crap about all the stuff that I do wrong. I'm still doing it, guys, so you can still make fun of me. It's no problem. All right. Well, I guess we'll close out. Elise, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live. We'll see you next week. And remember to stay mad.